Hi, my name's Don Chakras. I'm a professor at the Ohio State University, and I'm giving you a lecture on the harmonic neutron hypothesis. I think it's a very exciting, interesting topic. I hope you enjoy it as well. What is a grand unified theory, or a theory of everything? This refers to a hypothetical presence of a single, all-encompassing, coherent theoretical framework of physics that fully explains and links together all of the physical aspects of the universe. Why is this important? Well, people have always wondered, why is the world the way it is? Why is it so much fun? Why is it so beautiful? Also, we do know that once there's a theoretical breakthrough, it's always followed by some type of an unanticipated application. So how is this different? In standard physics, you start out with a physical puzzle, and then you search for the mathematical answer. In the harmonic neutron hypothesis, you start out with the mathematical answer because you already know what the only possible answers are, and you search for what are the physical examples of that that are manifest related to the math. Let's talk about a couple of the examples of the classic things that are blocking physics now. Here are two equations. Kinetic energy equals mass times the velocity squared, and then energy equals mass times the speed of light squared. That's the Einstein equation. One is continuous, one is quantum. It's really impossible to transform one into the other based on their specific definitions. These transitions happen all the time, so there's something goofy going on. Why doesn't it work? What are some of the unanswered questions? If you start with the math of the previous two equations, you can't use that and say, okay, where am I going to end up with in a global system? You have pieces of it, but it doesn't really lead you anyplace. Here are a couple of the questions. Why are there 6 quarks? What's the scaling between electromagnetic and gravitational forces? And what's the maximum cosmic ray energy? Widely divergent questions. Nobody has any idea why these are the way they are, and I'm going to tell you. What is the math behind the harmonic neutron hypothesis? The hypothesis is that the pure number properties of finite consecutive integer series of integers n, harmonic fractions as 1 over n, and partial fractions as 1 minus 1 over n define a rigorous mathematical system that encompasses and strictly defines all the possible observable physical phenomenon in a single unified system. Now, that sounds kind of complicated, but all I'm really saying is that if you start with 1, 2, and 3 and get to a finite number and play that game, everything in the world is defined by that and nothing else. So what's the math? Finite means that there are no infinities. It solves a lot of mathematical and physical problems. Finite means that you know what the top and the bottom, what the maximum and the minimum are. Pure number properties are things like even and odd and prime. Those things manifest inside the physical domain and tell you what is possible and what is not. These pure number properties give you the answer. So let's look at a series of a finite integer number, and we're going to stop at a fundamental frequency. We're going to choose a number. It could be any integer that you want for this particular setting. I'm going to make it easy. We're going to make it 4. Now the story is that if you know what the fundamental frequency is, you actually know everything out of the system. It's a giant paradox. You know only one thing, but you know everything else. It doesn't seem like it makes sense, but this is the character of harmonic systems, are defined within that realm. So here I'm starting at -4, and I'm counting to 16. That's a consecutive integer series. I could count it as 0 4s, 1 4, 2 4s, 3 4s, 4 4s. That's the next dimension I could count them in. I could count them as the powers. 4 raised to the 0 power, 4 raised to the 1 power, 4 raised to the 2 power. These are all consecutive integer series. It's kind of like Russian dolls all nested inside of each other, but everything is still only defined by that number of the fundamental frequency. So here's the list again of the integers on top going above or below the fundamental frequency. It doesn't have to stop there. That's just the ratio. Here are the harmonic fractions, 1/2, 1/3, 1/4. If you look at this as a velocity and this is a wavelength, when you multiply them together, you end up with a wave speed of 1. Here are the partial fractions. This is 1/2, 2/3, 3/4. See, they're always separated by just one number. If you add this row and this row, that adds up to 1. You multiply them together, they're 1. You add them together, they're 1. There's some kind of magic going on here in this system. Now, when you have this, these specific harmonic fractions define a classic circle. Geometrically, they define a circle. Once you define a circle, you have a wave. You have everything that's sinusoidal. So now these numbers have encompassed everything related to circles. They literally define pi as well, which is an irrational number. This is also a power law in both the linear and the exponential domains. This is a graph showing those specific ratios defining 3 points on a circle. I won't go into the details, but Euclid and Pythagoras were right. This works. Now, primes are unique integers and must play a critical role in the model as the organization by defining the global hierarchy. Because the numbers are defined by primes, the physical properties must be defined by primes. There's only one partial fraction that's composed of two prime numbers, 2 and 3. 2 divided by 3. That's also 2 times 3, which is 6, which means that the internal organization must be based on pairs of 3s. The global hierarchy beyond that has to be based on the product of the lower primes, 2, 3, 5, 7, and 11. This is classic resonance. You can start to define other possible numbers and other possible physical phenomena, but you have to start with just these primes. They are going to define what comes beyond. If it does not mathematically exist, it does not physically exist. Can this really be true? It will be shown that starting with this very simple set of mathematical restrictions, all of the fundamental phenomenon can be accurately defined, explained, and the exact physical values of the constants actually derived. So this is not metaphysical. This is not some kind of philosophical concept. This is pure, absolute math and nothing else. It's a very beautiful, elegant system that fulfills the criteria of a grand unified theory. My quote is, if it is 1, 2, 3, that is what it has to be. If you have any other questions, you can go to neutronsymphony.com or you can contact me at donchakras@osumc.edu. Hope you enjoyed that. Thank you.